Hey Arrow fans, my name is Jerry McWilliam from Jay White Media. Welcome to Jay White Reviews, Arrow Season 2, Episode 15, The Promise. So much happened in this episode, and I don't even know where to start. So I'm going to start off with some of my positives from the episode, some of my negatives, and go from there. So, best thing about this episode for me, we finally see Oliver and Slade don their masks, or Oliver don the hood, Slade don the mask for the first time in one of the island scenes, and that's just such an iconic moment that it can't be overlooked. It's just amazing. To really get going here, I loved this episode so much. Like, the fact that it was 80% on the island, or 70% on the island, whatever you want to call it. It mostly took place on the island this season, or this episode, and that's something that I wanted to see for a while, and I've been looking forward to. The whole cast delivered 500% in this episode. It was from the tension between Oliver and Slade at the house, coming off of the last episode, just the palpable, like, hatred between the two, was the fact that Oliver thought he was dead and sees him face to face, and all that coming back to him is just, it was epic. And from that to showing the island, showing how they're trying to prepare for the assault on the Amazo, and Oliver's training montage at the start, him training on the island, doing his pull-ups, doing his shooting exercises, just going tree to tree and running and shooting at the same time. I thought all of that was great. The stunt work was amazing in this episode. I liked seeing Sarah and Felicity, Diggle and Roy all in the foundry together, just talking. And Oliver's at home, really in a tight spot with Slade there. He knows Slade's gonna try to do something to his family, but he doesn't know what. And so he calls Felicity on his phone secretly, hoping that they'll pick up and be able to mobilize, and they do. Like, Sarah becomes a leader, and she just hashes out orders. I actually liked Roy's line where Sarah says he has the Mirakuru in him, Slade has the Mirakuru in him, and Roy just turns to him and says, "So do I." And that makes Sarah distrust him, because she knows what the Mirakuru does. So she actually asks him, "Can I trust you?" And he just says, "I'll be fine. I'll handle it." But and then while they're actually approaching the house, she just, "Don't get into a fight. He'll kill you." Just putting it right out there to Roy. My speculation on this is that Slade is so much more powerful than Roy or even Grundy, Cyrus Gold, was, because when they injected him with the Mirakuru, they didn't have an anesthetic in his system. They said right when they introduced the Mirakuru that it needs an anesthetic for them to really process it, and for the body to handle it. And they didn't have that when they injected Slade. So I think it was much more potent, and it wasn't watered down by the anesthetic in the system. So that has made Slade stronger than anybody else that will come later. That's why he's such a threat. But I digress. Another positive about the episode, just the scene between Oliver and Slade just before they attack the Amazo, where he says, the last time we tried to get off this island. We did it as strangers. Now we're doing it as brothers. That was such a huge moment because it just makes the fall between them so much greater, and just Slade has that level of trust with Oliver. Yet, right when he finds out that Shadow was killed because Oliver stepped in front of Sarah instead, that's why he loses it so quickly, because he has that level of trust and it's just gone. He has the good line near the end. I don't care. I No matter what you say to me about your reasoning behind this, I don't care. You're done to me. And that's such a great moment. Again, I can't say enough about this whole episode. It was just so well done. Um, I did have a few issues with some of the explosions when he started diverging the course on the Mazo, and some of the explosions started happening. I didn't know where those were coming from. Um, it felt like they were just putting them in to put them in. The parachuting section where he parachutes didn't look as good as some of the other things done on the show, um, but it was still fine. And yeah, I didn't have much bad to say about this episode. It was very small things. Um, One thing he does, Slade, while he was circling the house, he was putting cameras everywhere, and we see that in the last shot when he's looking over the monitors, and they're all set up for different angles at the house. The one that I don't understand at all, though, he put one in the boat, the model boat at the beginning, when he's saying, "Oh, do you go sailing much?" He put a camera there. That's kind of visible. No matter how small the camera is, people will notice a small black square where there wasn't one before when it's right in plain sight. Underneath the frame of the painting and, you know, things like that, I can understand that'll be harder to tell because they never look under there and they never really clean under there. But on the boat, I don't understand that at all. It's ridiculous. Um, so that was one issue I had. But overall, this episode was amazing. Just a well-rounded, well-told story in this episode. And Slade's promise, he actually says it to Oliver on the island, that I will destroy everything you are. You will not die until you've felt despair like I have. And just the fact that he's going to do that, and he's really in Starling City to make good on that promise. Oh, it's crazy, and it sets up so much for the end of the season. Um, yeah, we'll see if Oliver tries to redeem Slade or if he just reconciles that he has to kill him. I don't know how he ever would redeem Slade at this point. Uh, the fact that he cut off, this is something I forgot. The fact that he cut off Ivo's hand instead of just killing him outright. That was such a good shot and such a good scene to really show how over the deep end Slade has gone. But he still has his intelligence. He just says flat out, he's like, he takes in Ivo explaining that Ivo knows what's happening to him, and he can help him control it. And that's going to be an amazing thing to see, like how he develops that ability, because in this, Slade is crazy. He's absolutely insane, but he keeps it so calm and so collected and so cerebral that he becomes that much more deadly. And, you know, it's always, there's a good saying, it's always the quiet ones you have to watch out for. And in this one, that's exactly what Slade was. You know, when Oliver was stewing and angry that Slade was even there at his house, Slade was playing it off very cool and very collected. And he just, buttering up to Moira and Thea and thinking every possibility through. He didn't even flinch when Oliver had the ice pick and went to stab him. He just grabbed his arm, slowly crushed it, and then just released it. Not yet, kid. Not yet. It's it's a scary thing to be against someone that's that collected and that calm about their own power. Um, so yeah, some questions. I'll get to some theories and predictions at the moment. Um, One question that I think a lot of people have after the episode is who's the one that took out Diggle at the end. Now, I'm not sure who that could have been. We know that the next episode, episode 16, is called Suicide Squad, just flat out. We know what that entails. The preview is up. I think it could have been Amanda Waller. Um, in the most recent Arkham game, uh, Arkham Origins, Slade is approached at the. This is a spoiler if you haven't seen the game or if you haven't played the game and haven't finished it yet. But Slade is approached by Amanda Waller to join the Suicide Squad. It also happens in the comics at one point. He doesn't join it for long, but he is there at one point in the Suicide Squad, along with Harley Quinn and Shrapnel and Bronze Tiger and such. Um, so there's a possibility that they're working together. It's one theory, and I don't know how good it would be because Diggle is going to be working with Argus and the Suicide Squad. So I don't know how that would fit in with Diggle being on Oliver's side. Another possibility, I know it wasn't Brother Blood because they would have just shown him, and Slade already, like, Oliver already knows he's working with Brother Blood. Um, Other possibilities, I'm not so sure. Uh, it's possible that it was Isabel Rochev, who is called the Queen. One theory that I've had all along for this whole season is that Isabel, the company that she initially worked for before they bought out the 50% shares of Queen Consolidated, is I have a I have I've had a theory for the whole season that the company that she worked for beforehand was owned by Slade, and that's why he's so powerful and why he has so much money to throw around. Because he owns that company, and Isabel is underling of him. Because in the comics, Isabel Rochev is known as the Queen, and she does the exact same thing in the comics. She buys Queen Consolidated. Um, Although in the comics, it's when Oliver is outed as being Green Arrow. In this one, she's 50% partner with him. So she is a villain in the comics, and she's very known. Um, but it'd be interesting if she was actually an associate of Slade and a underling of Slade, because that would explain a lot about how long Slade has been forming this plan in his mind, and how long he's been orchestrating Oliver's downfall. Um, Obviously, he knew from the beginning of the season who Oliver was, what he was doing, that Oliver was the vigilante, and he probably knew that from the first time they even saw the vigilante in Starling City using bows and arrows. He had to know specifically, yes, that's Oliver. He just came back to the city. The vigilante came back. They started using bows and arrows. Slade's not a stupid person. He's extremely smart. And that super soldier serum not only made him stronger and faster and more agile, it made him smarter. So he was already smart to begin with. He's even smarter now. It's a bad situation all around, but yeah, that's my theory on that. I think it could have been Isabel Rochev taking him out. But yeah, so going on to the next few episodes, we saw the 3-minute trailer. If you haven't, I'm putting up another video today as well. That trailer will be in the links, and that trailer shows kind of the path of the rest of the season. I can't wait for the Suicide Squad episode. Not next week, but the week after. They're taking another break because these episodes actually do take quite some time to do. They're not shot in 7 days. They're usually shot in about 9 or 10, 11 days. And then they have to edit, and then they have to finalize it. So and get the sound in and music and ADR. And so yeah, there's a break next week, and then I think from there on it'll just be very straightforward, and they'll stop putting breaks in. But yeah, I can't wait for the Suicide Squad episode. I can't wait for the Suicide Squad episode. It looks really interesting. I think there was a shot of Harley Quinn in there, and everyone's saying it's Harley Quinn. We don't know yet. It'd be very interesting if they brought her in. The only thing about that is they'd have to allude to Joker for her origin, and I don't know if they want to cross to the Batman realm too much. And yeah, we've got the Suicide Squad, we've got Birds of Prey after that, where Huntress comes back, and I believe it's going to be as a bad guy at first, or a villain at first, and then she'll slowly turn herself around and really make that core group. And the next episode after that is an episode called Deathstroke. So obviously it's going to be about Deathstroke. Episode 19 the name of the episode has not been released yet. However, episode 20 is called Seeing Red. I think that it alludes to two things. One, Flash. Grant Gustin or Barry Allen probably wakes up at that point from his coma, or makes an appearance back into Starling City. And I believe it's probably when Roy is going to start really getting into his training and ask for a suit, and they'll probably get Roy into that suit, that Red Arrow or Arsenal costume. Yeah, I hope that happens. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting for final 6 or 7 episodes of the season. It's gonna be really, really interesting. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. This has been my review of Arrow Season 2, Episode 14, The Promise, with predictions and guesses. And yeah, hope you liked it. Hope you continue watching. Remember, media matters. Talk to you later.